Europe ruined America for me. This should be a good one. All right, this one's coming from Joe Barr. I absolutely love these type of videos, especially now since I've learned a lot more about Europe and kind of understand where they're coming from. When I first started the channel, there was a lot of this, which even I take part in occasionally, making fun of Americans, but a lot of videos that are very, like, I don't want to say hate-centric towards America, which, understandable, but yeah, a lot of these videos is usually kind of like shitting on America. I always felt a little uncomfortable watching them, but now that I've learned a lot, it's a lot easier. Don't get me wrong, there's things that I like about America, but I'm really curious to see what Joe has to say, how Europe ruined my country for him, and I'm curious where he's living at, where he's staying. Buckle up, let's just get straight into the video.
I didn't care much for pineapple when I was a kid. I thought it was bland in the grand scheme of fruits. But then I had a pineapple in Costa Rica where they actually grow it, and my lord, nothing is better. Now, the canned stuff you see lopped onto a hotel breakfast buffet practically makes me gag. And that, sports fans, is what living in Europe for 10 years did to America for me. Let me explain. If you're new here, hey, thanks for being here. Swell of ya. My name is Joe Bauer, an American immigrant who's been living in Europe for the past decade and wandering around the world even longer, trying to close the gap between the story we're told and what's actually out there. In this video, I'm going to share how living in Europe has ruined the United States for me. Growing up in the US, particularly the so-called heartland of America, the constant thumping of best country ever,
Nebraska. No. Yeah, maybe Nebraska. He looks like a Nebraskan.
or subconsciously by our politicians and media, leave you assuming that the sentiment must be true. It's ingrained in you before you can even conceive of life beyond US borders. So that's what I assumed. The US must be the best country because, you know, it just is. The tides go in and out, the earth rotates around the sun, and the Cleveland Browns will find new and unique ways to lose games. It's just another law of the universe.
It's so wild growing up with this, too. First-hand experience. Yeah, we are number one. The chance, I'm sure you guys have seen it before. I always thought it was, like, really, really weird. I didn't understand it as a kid. And then I got older, and once I started learning a little bit more, I was like, why do we always say we're number one? Like, and even if you are number one, like, you don't boast about it and tell everyone that you're number one. It's kind of arrogant, no? And I'm not saying we are. I'm saying, like, if you were.
Now, to be fair, you don't know what you don't know. We're not generally taught that many people who live outside of the United States are happy with where they live. The general narrative we get is that everyone wants to come to the US. We saw that presumptuous bravado play out with the latest Greenland nonsense when Ted Cruz claimed Greenlanders would say, hell yeah, to becoming American citizens.
This guy, we call him, you know what? What is it? Hold on. The Zodiac Killer. Yeah, we think a lot of Americans think Ted Cruz is the actual Zodiac Killer from, I believe, the 70s and 80s.
Except they don't want to become American citizens, which is something I'll dive deeper into my next video covering my recent week traveling around Greenland. So, you know, stay tuned. It wasn't until I started traveling the world, ironically thanks to the privilege of an American passport, that I started to realize both that best country is highly subjective and that other countries inarguably do certain things better. In some cases, much better.
Yeah.
I remember traveling to Switzerland for the first time about 12 years ago, crisscrossing the country by bike and train, something you simply cannot do in the US. Or, for the person inevitably getting ready to yell in the comments, Switzerland is the size of a small US state! You can't do it in a small US state either. There's a bit from How I Met Your Mother, one of the few that haven't aged horribly, where glass shatters every time someone
Joe, don't be talking shit on How I Met Your Mother. Don't even for a second.
realizes something for the first time.
You're always correcting people.
That's absolutely right.
That trip to Switzerland was the first of many glass-shattering moments from Europe that's ruined America for me. Moving here and traveling even more has only made it worse. Now, when I lived in Dusseldorf, I could easily and safely cycle to the Netherlands, take regional trains to villages in the countryside, ride a high-speed train to France or Belgium, a night train to Vienna, or transfer in Munich to slip south to Austria or Italy. Even from Berlin, I can easily get to Denmark, Czechia, Hungary, or within about an hour on the train, Poland. This isn't just great for travel, it's great for flexibility when working remotely. Just last week, I took the train from Copenhagen to Berlin after my week in Greenland because my flight was canceled. In the US, I'd be absolutely screwed. I'd have to rent a car and basically lose a workday driving. But here, I could just hop on the train. It was about an 8.5-hour journey. Basically a workday on the train, which, as a side note, I'm wildly productive on a train. I think I wrapped up like 3 articles I had due for editors, and it really would have screwed up my week if I lost that time. Not to mention, spending that amount of time in a car would push me to the brink of insanity. After having that kind of ease of connectivity for the past decade, I simply can't look at the US the same way again.
Yeah, this is like a thing that I know that I want that I don't have. But like we just drove to Florida and it was 14 hours. Or about 13 hours. We got there pretty quickly. 13 hours. Yeah, I really wish I could just hop on a train. That would just be so nice and not have to drive. I could fly, but when you're flying with that many people, it's, I don't feel like spending $1,500 on airline tickets.
Because all I see when I look at a map are the ghosts of train lines that used to exist and think of the decades of missed opportunities to make things better. Case in point, we're planning a big trip around the western United States to check out some national parks, most likely connecting Las Vegas, Salt Lake City, Boise, and Portland. They're the largest cities in their respective states, each about 4 to 6 hours of driving apart. My European eyes can't help but expect there to be trains connecting these places. Here, I can take a high-speed train from Berlin to Munich, the same distance as Salt Lake City to Boise, in about 4 hours, with Wi-Fi while working. What transit options that do exist in the western region of the US are multiple buses at just about double the driving time. Hardly the stuff of the best country on earth.
And then you're on a bus.
The US is, financially speaking, a wealthy country. Now, rather than using $200 billion to fund an illegal war, it could give a tiny fraction of that amount to improving the lives of everyday Americans.
When did this come out? Oh, this came out 3 days ago. All right, I'm gonna have to wait a second until I release this. Yeah, Jesus Christ, dude. This just makes me so mad. And I don't even know what the hell is going on. I mean, I know what's going on with the Iran stuff. Just so tired of my country starting wars. It's really irks me. It's really annoying. I understand war happens, but I also just I don't like it.
Of that amount to improving the lives of everyday Americans by, I don't know, as just one example, improving transportation alternatives. But what it can't do is something that's inherent to the very fabric of Europe, and that is hold together a mosaic of different languages, cultures, and histories. One of my absolute favorite things about living in and traveling around Europe is the linguistic and cultural diversity of the continent.
So
when
cool.
I'm doing those cycling trips from Dusseldorf or the international train trips out of Berlin, I'm diving into a place with a completely different language, culture, and history. That was another glass-shattering moment for me. Just how much I value this kind of accessible diversity. Now, don't get me wrong, the US is home to loads of unique and interesting cultures.
I was just gonna say, I was like, dude, we got a lot of cultures here, so. Not that many languages, though, but I'm glad he kind of cleaned it up.
Midwest is different than the Northeast, which is different than the Southeast, and so on. But the degree of those differences is a fraction of what you experience living in Europe. Going from my hometown of Cleveland to, let's say, next door Pennsylvania just isn't as thrilling as going to Poland from Berlin. And it simply never will be. No offense to Pennsylvania. I love Pittsburgh, the Allegheny River, the Allegheny Mountains. It's all beautiful stuff, so please don't attack me with one of those massive Permanente Brothers sandwiches. My love and now expectation for that kind of diversity is 100% Europe's fault, and there's nothing the US can do about that. Unless, and I'm just spitballing here, someone invents a time machine, goes back in time, stops Native American genocide. Those civilizations continue to grow. They allow a reasonable amount of European immigration, but, with limits, of course, because you can't just have them pouring across Cherokee, Navajo, or Choctaw borders taking their jobs. And then you're left with the same kind of cultural mosaic that we have today in Europe. And instead of, dances with wolves, we'd have, I don't know, dances with clogs or something. If only. In the US, unemployment is viewed shamefully. It's one of the sins spelled out on Mel Brooks' third tablet that his Moses dropped. There's little empathy for folks who, for one reason or another, can't find work. Boomers especially are fond of shaking their head, muttering, "Why don't you just get a job?" As if they're just being handed out by the job fairy.
Pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
Get a job. Oh, get a job? Yeah. Just get a job? Why don't I strap on my job helmet and squeeze down into a job cannon and fire off into Jobland, where jobs grow on jobbies?
In Germany, and I imagine most of the European Union, unemployment is viewed differently. We have higher taxes, yes.
I'm glad he's getting into this, because this is kind of a topic we haven't really covered. Unemployment. What he said about unemployment being viewed kind of negatively, it definitely is. Like, if you know somebody who's unemployed, there is a sense of like how are you unemployed? Why are you not working? And it's always been there. I'm curious to see what he has to say about Germany, though. Interesting.
Of the European Union, unemployment is viewed differently. We have higher taxes, yes, but that helps fund the social safety net that gives recently unemployed folks financial breathing room if they lose their job. Or it's not entirely uncommon for someone to voluntarily leave their job just to make some time for themselves, maybe travel, or do something else that doesn't revolve around work, all the while collecting some form of unemployment.
What? You can leave your job willfully and get unemployment? That's crazy. I have never heard of that before. That is a first for me. You're not really unemployed, though. If you left your job, you were employed. You choose to be unemployed, and you still get paid from the government? Crazy. What?
It doesn't revolve around work, all the while collecting some form of unemployment. The American mind couldn't imagine such a thing. I couldn't have imagined it myself until I lived here.
Yeah.
But in Germany, unemployment is viewed as a kind of insurance policy that you recoup whenever you need it. It's your money you're taking back. But in the US, a social safety net is a kind of thing for commies and their commie polyamorous thruples. In a country where many people are living paycheck to paycheck, leaving your job for any number of reasons is seen as too risky. So you might find yourself trapped as opposed to feeling free to explore other opportunities, or maybe even starting your own business.
There's a way to do it. You can stay at your job and go find a new job, or you can work your job. I mean, a decade ago, I was working a job while also starting my business at the same time. So it's possible. Takes a lot of willpower, though. Not everyone's able to do
Glass
it.
officially shattered. None of this is to say that Europe is better than the United States. That kind of thinking is entirely subjective, whether you truly believe the United States is the greatest country on earth, or you wouldn't step foot there if someone paid you. But these glass-shattering moments that living in and traveling around Europe has given me has changed how I see the United States as it relates to the rest of the world. It gave me perspective. Nice. It showed me that the American way isn't the best way, it's just one way. It also sucks, to be honest, because as an American, you feel like someone lied to you when the glass shatters, and you realize that other places are doing certain things better, or at least more effectively. But because so many of our leaders believe that America is the best country on earth, they refuse to learn from other places. Don't get me wrong, I don't mind a little confident bravado every now and then. It works for some of the best athletes out there, but you gotta back that shit up.
Yeah, but for athletes, it's a little different. Yeah, you want some good confidence if you're a professional athlete. You want some bravado, but Bill, who is living in a trailer in Ohio, doesn't need to be on the internet saying America is #1 all over social media. You catching my flow?
After Muhammad Ali said he was the greatest, he went out there and got pummeled by a 5th grader with weak bones. Perhaps most frustrating of all, US leadership by and large would seem more likely to just give me a Men in Black brain wipe rather than try and make itself better.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you will, look right here.
The US is the greatest country on earth. Kid Rock is a national icon. Tex-Mex is better than Mexican. So yes, Europe ruined America for me. Living and traveling around here showed me that the US isn't the best in many respects, certainly in ways I care about. I can't unsee that, and I certainly can't imagine life without it. But Europe isn't the only region dropping life lessons on my lap. In this video, I share 8 places from around the world that completely changed my American worldview. The last place is technically 2, so hopefully that's an intriguing enough tease that you'll make the algorithm happy and make with a clicky click.
All right, that was a good video, dude. Liked it a lot, Joe. If you're catching this, well done, sir. Well done, sir. All right, yeah, it's a lot of fun because although some of the topics or the takes on Americans in Europe are usually pretty in line with each other, they're pretty similar, but every single video I always pick up at least like one new thing or one fact that I didn't know before. And the unemployment one was really, really interesting. It was hilarious that he said most Americans would be dumbfounded if they found this out while I'm sitting there going, what? All right, I'm getting out of here. I appreciate you guys watching. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.